From LALATE News Headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Mornings LALATE.
Breaking news this morning on Mornings LALATE. Wall Street awaits the reopening of trading for Coinbase, and I'll have the latest coverage of the cryptocurrency. Meantime, your $1,400 third stimulus check is landing for veterans across the board today. A new wave of stimulus checks went out on Friday, and if you're a veteran, you're getting that third stimulus check of $1,400 today. Elsewhere, a big push is underway for those reoccurring fourth stimulus checks to hit this summer, and I have the latest details from the White House. And also, breaking details that could impact that fourth stimulus. What's at issue? A series of new banking earnings reports released today, and wow, they were jaw-dropping. Wells Fargo beat estimates, Goldman Sachs beat estimates, and meantime, CDC is unveiling an advisory committee on Johnson & Johnson within minutes. I'll have the latest details about that. Moderna has great news for you across the board for a booster shot this summer. Elsewhere, the anticipation's growing about Coinbase's IPO within minutes. I'll have the latest detail about what Coinbase does, its risks, and what you should anticipate for the summer and this fall for crypto. It's part of our expanded new coverage of cryptocurrency now here on LALATE. Meantime, the President of the United States has a new video out about his fourth stimulus. He explains his fourth stimulus package and why it needs to be pushed. And you'll see in that video what's missing. Very fascinating detail. Meantime, a new video from Dr. Fauci explaining the Johnson & Johnson issue. And we look at how Johnson & Johnson has affected the markets and how it can continue to affect the markets over the next few days. It's a big morning. The toast is toasting. The butter is buttering. Let's get to it. This is a big morning's broadcast starting right now of a double dose of shows here on Mornings LALATE. Good morning, everybody. The toast is toast and the butter is butter, and I'm here, you're here, and thank you for joining me on a big early mornings broadcast. It's just a little bit after 9 o'clock here, 9:30 here, 9:20 here on the West Coast, and it's Mornings LA. Big developing details about your third stimulus check, your fourth stimulus check. The CDC advisory about Johnson & Johnson, the EI deal grant of $10,000, the student loan debt forgiveness of $50,000, and then Coinbase, Bitcoin, history is about to be made. Cryptocurrency is about to be made. I'll be covering that IPO throughout the day on this channel. And let's get to the details. But first, if you've not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Also, like this video. And if you've not become a member, consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. This channel is now expanding its coverage to become the most comprehensive financial news network you have online, with now expanded coverage of cryptocurrency. Coming up after this broadcast is our live coverage of the Coinbase IPO, but with a little bit of an introduction to the situation at hand in this video right now. The breaking news about that third stimulus check is my veterans are getting it. Congratulations. If you're a veteran and you had not gotten the stimulus check today, today's your day. I was the first to detail this several weeks ago. April 14th, today is the day in which direct deposits for veterans will be landing in their bank account. This is whether you are direct expressed by Comerica or big banks or small banks. This is for veterans today, April 14th, direct deposit. Mail checks are still landing in mailboxes. They're coming late. Meantime, fourth stimulus is heating up. Fourth stimulus is that fourth stimulus package the president debuted initially is called the Recovery Act. Then it became called the Infrastructure Plan. Now he's using more often the term the Jobs Plan. And ultimately, the president is not the one putting the stimulus checks in there. It's the House members and the Senate members. Remember, they're the ones that write the bill, and they're the ones that want that stimulus check in there. They want it monthly, and they want you to have a lot of them. They don't want you to just have one of them. So let's go over the differences about what one group wants you to have versus another group. And let's go item by item. First, let's understand who are the different people at issue. If you're looking at the House members, they are more junior members of Congress. They're progressives. The senators are Democrats. They're senior members of the Democratic Party. They are the movers and shakers. The duration of the stimulus checks differs from the groups. So the House members want to give you a monthly stimulus check from now to the end of the pandemic plus 1 year. The senators just want to give it to you to the end of this year, to December. How much are we talking about? Well, the House members want to pay you the first month $2,000 and $1,000 thereafter, every month thereafter. The senators have not said their monthly amount, but word on the street is the senators want to pay you $2,000 the first month, which over 6 months would be $12,000. Or they want to pay you $14,000, which is $1,400 a month, which is $8,400 over 6 months. Who would qualify for this stimulus check? This is you. This is you. This is whether you are a person on SSI or Social Security or railroad benefits. This is if you're a veteran. This is if you made $2,400, if you made $75,000 or less. They have a lot of reconciliation of opportunities available to them, and this is why they want to get this done as soon as possible. The path is by Votorama, and the path is as soon as the bill lands there, they want to make those moves across the board. More about that in a second. But boy, what a day we started with. Can you imagine? We started the day with incredibly strong economic news. And where did it come from? The banking industry. Two major banks reported Q1 2021 earnings numbers, and boy, they weren't good. They were blowouts. They were absolutely through the roof. Two major U.S. banks reported their Q1 first quarter 2021 earnings numbers before the start of trading today, and their numbers were through the roof. Let's look at their numbers, and then I'll analyze how it impacts you. First, let's go over generally the numbers. Goldman Sachs reported Q1 2021 earnings this morning. They came in at $18.60 a share. The estimate from Wall Street was going to be $10.22 a share. My goodness. Look at that. That is nearly doubling estimates. Estimates were $10 a share, and they came in at nearly $20 a share. And they were not alone. Wells Fargo reported earnings before the start of trading today. And look at this blowout. Projected was 70 cents a share. It came in at $1 a share. There was also a revenue beat. These numbers are huge. And why are they big for you? It shows that we are not just in an economic rebound, we're already in a boom. We're already in a booming economy, and the only issue at hand is how broadly the recovery is at hand. These are jaw-dropping big economic numbers. They follow after the producer price index number from last Friday was the highest in nearly 10 years. And the consumer price index number on Tuesday, was the highest number we had seen in nearly 10 years. I'm forgetting what day of the week it is. It's Saturday already. I don't know. Who knows? It's just jaw-dropping big numbers. How does this impact your stimulus? You want this stimulus package, this fourth stimulus package, in the Senate as soon as possible. Absolutely. You don't even want to blink a second. You want it to get there as soon as possible. Here it was what the reaction was to this news, and some of the heads of the banks also responded to the situation. Well, Goldman Sachs blew out estimates, crushing it at revenue at $17.7 billion when estimates were only at $12.6 billion. That's Goldman Sachs. Let's turn over to Wells Fargo. My goodness. Wells Fargo CEO Charlie Scharf issued a statement today that he said that the company is on fire. Charge-offs are at historic lows, and we're making changes to improve our operations efficiency, but low interest rate and tepid loan demand continue to be a headwind for us in Q1. Goldman's, meantime, its CEO, David Solomon, said our business remains very well positioned to help our clients reposition for the recovery, and the strength that was reflected in the record revenues and earnings achieved this quarter. Wow. So it's important to understand that stimulus for forced stimulus needs to land in the Senate as soon as possible. Currently, the president's doing his negotiations for bipartisan relief of the jobs plan, infrastructure plan, forced stimulus, whatever you call it, over the next few days. But away we go, because there's three provisions in there, and the second two don't have any Republican support whatsoever. It has to go by recon. Remember, reconciliation is the only process that gives you a stimulus check. The president's not going to give you a stimulus check. The Republicans are not going to give you a stimulus check. It's the people who write the bill, the congressional leaders, the senators, the House members, they're wanting to give you a stimulus check. They put it in writing that they're going to do it. Not once, but several times they put it in writing. And you want that bill to start quicker rather than later in light of this economic news. And away we go. Meantime, also heating up today is the excitement of a major IPO offering, and it's Coinbase. What's Coinbase, and how does it impact you and the bottom line? And why is it important to understand why cryptocurrency is still in its infancy, but is today having its first major IPO in U.S. markets, and why it's important to understand where we're heading for that? I'll have that coming up later in this video. But first, the president released a new video today, and the video is a video to explain the need to pass his forced stimulus package. Of course, we don't have the bill. And of course, if you watch this video, it is highly orchestrated. I'll have more about the video shortly after you watch it, but let's watch it together and see what his message is about forced stimulus.
We build America by doing big things, by thinking big, doing it together. We built the interstate highway system. We went to the moon. But then we stopped. Since the 1980s, public domestic investment has fallen substantially. What do we have to show for it? Crumbling bridges and roads, millions of Americans without safe drinking water, and an internet barely available to the huge swath of the country. Last week, I released the American Jobs Plan, and I want to talk about it for a few minutes with you. But first, I want to talk to you about why investing in our country matters. When we've invested in America, in innovation, we've been rewarded beyond imagination. Take the space race. Now, everybody knows we went to the moon. It was an achievement not just for our country, but for the world. Our investment yielded a return far greater than landing on the moon. Baby food, digital camera sensors, airplane wing designs, satellites, all of these things came out of the money spent on space research. When we invested in the interstate highway system, we changed the way people travel and how we lived. Suddenly, a family could visit anyone across the country in a station wagon. A business in Pittsburgh could ship things more efficiently across the country to Portland. Since then, research from the federal government has led to innovations like GPS, lithium batteries, the technology behind the very phone you might be watching this on. I raise these things not to have government take credit. Lots of brilliant people in the public and private sector have contributed to our country's progress. But that's the point. The worst thing you can do is bet against the ingenuity of the American people. When we stop investing in research, infrastructure, and jobs of the future, you can bet someone else will do that investment we're not doing. For too long, America has been falling back. The rest of the world is closing in and closing in on us fast. I'm asking you not just to support the bill in Congress or a government program. I'm asking you to imagine a world where you and your family can travel coast to coast without a single tank of gas or on board a high-speed train. Imagine being able to connect to high-speed, affordable, reliable internet wherever you live. Imagine a future where we lead the world and tackle the looming threat of climate change and with American jobs and ingenuity. This isn't a hypothetical proposition. This is a plan. It can happen. It's my American Jobs Plan, and you can check it out on my website. This moment in the economy calls for America, not just the private sector, but the public sector, all of us to do our part. This can be a moment that America wins the future. It's going to take every American to get there. So let's do big things, think big. There's nothing beyond our capacity.
And that's a new video from the White House. Drop your comments and thoughts and commentary about that video, and I'll read some of your comments on air right after this commercial break. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now on LA. Thank you for joining me on Mornings LA. Before the commercial break, we watched a new video from the White House released today about your fourth stimulus package. And I asked your thoughts and comments about what you thought from this video. One viewer said, "We absolutely need this. America needs to redo its infrastructure," says Paula. And Pamela says, "I think this needs to be seen." Jacqueline says, "No negativity." Tiffany says, "I liked it a lot." Great comments. I really appreciate it. Here are my thoughts on the video. It's interesting, the timing of the video, I think, because under the third stimulus package, we saw these videos, but after the third stimulus package became law. So they weren't used to pass the bill or to push for the bill to pass. They were used after it to tell the American people what's in them. This time he's using the power of media to get the bill approved by both sides of the aisle. Ironically, there is no bill yet. And ironically, there's no approval on the other side of the aisle. So it's very interesting. It's a very campaign-like, presidential campaign-like video. It sort of conjures up memories of the Reagan presidential campaign videos from the 1980s that talked broadly about America the Beautiful and how we're going to reinvest in this country and come back strong. So it's very similar type of messaging. Very clear. What's very clear also in the video, you only heard the word climate once in a very quick heartbeat. So clearly the big issue at play is climate, which will ultimately provide you stimulus checks because the Republicans are not going to do the bill because of climate. If you've not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. It's our 1-year anniversary on this channel, and we're trying to get to 400,000 subscribers, so give us a subscribe. Also, like this video. Try to do 3,000 likes. Yesterday, your likes on the tape videos were incredible, but your likes on the live video, oh my goodness. So make sure you remember to like the video. Also, consider becoming a member. The big news as we start the day is that the blowout numbers from the banking industry, Goldman and Wells reporting earnings before the opening of the markets today showed that this economy is rebounding. Well, this is the time and place to get this stimulus package to the Senate and House as quickly as possible. Look at this money. If they got the bill done in June and then the bill checks go out in July, look at that money. This, if it's $1,400 a month, it would be $8,400 for a single individual. If it's $2,000 a month, it's $12,000 for an individual. These are numbers for individuals. So family of 4 times 4, adult dependents, this is you, SSI, SSDI. The path is reconciliation. Vote-a-rama, they have 21 of 50 Democratic senators so far supporting them. Meantime, also making big news today, boy, is a major historic event. The IPO of Coinbase is today. Coinbase is the first major cryptocurrency IPO occurring on U.S. soils. The cryptocurrency initial public offering is about to open at the time of this recording, and it's important to understand what Coinbase is, what it does, how it impacts you, and why today's event is significant. First, cryptocurrency, while people know what it is, it's still in its infancy because the amount of percentage invested in cryptocurrency compared to other financial markets across the globe is still very small. So what is Coinbase? Coinbase is a very simple process. It's basically a place in which you buy and sell cryptocurrency. Very simple. It's sort of like a Charles Schwab for stocks or an E-Trade for stocks. Charles Schwab, you go in, you buy some stocks, you pay a transactional fee, a percentage based upon how much you spent, and they make money on that transactional fee. That's Coinbase, just for cryptocurrency. So what are the risks involved in today's IPO and the risks involved with a Coinbase offering to start the cryptocurrency issue? Well, the obvious risks are that it's based upon a subscription, it's based upon a transactional model where you go in, you pay for something, and that they make money on how much you're buying. It's a transactional model that if someone else does it for free, then they can undercut you. And guess what? There are other people and other businesses doing this for free. And they're not publicly traded companies, but they're coming to market. Among them are Robinhood, that proposes a similar transactional model, but cheaper or literally free. So among the risks of a Coinbase IPO is understanding that there are other competitors who do the same business model, buying and selling for you, and that the transactional fees are either cheaper or free. A transactional model is a limited opportunity for economic growth for a single business. But if you watch with what happened with Facebook's IPO, initial public offering, many years ago, they came to market, and as soon as they went public, they got all that money from the IPO and they went into other businesses. So IPOs are often the opportunity to diversify your business operations. What does Coinbase do? It basically has a place for you to buy and sell Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and 50 other cryptocurrencies you can buy, sell, and convert. So what are the other big risks involved? Well, the big risks are the dips. It's important to understand that cryptocurrency is a very volatile industry. It generally goes up 30% and down 30%. It generally has big drops, big falls once per year at least, and then it rebounds and goes to new highs. It hasn't had that fall this year. So most insiders say there's going to be another big cryptocurrency fall sometime this year. They don't know when. It's too hard to predict when any fall is going to happen, but there will be another fall, and then it's expected and anticipated to go to new highs. Analysts are now expecting and anticipating that cryptocurrency like Bitcoin and Ethereum will go to new highs later this year. So if you are a person, that's Moderna, which I'll be getting into a second, if you are a person who's looking at Coinbase's IPO today, understand they make money based upon the value of cryptocurrency. But if it's going to fall later this year, the valuations, if it's going to sink, drop later this summer, well, then they'll make less money in that respective quarter of earnings. But another winter surge is just around the corner. So let's go back to the other big news that's impacting forced stimulus. And what's impacting forced stimulus is what we call the reopening play. What's the reopening play? Well, when you were in lockdown and you stayed home and you couldn't go to a movie theater, you couldn't go to a gym, you couldn't travel, you couldn't take a cruise, you did things like Netflix. And those were the lockdown plays. Those were what people call the FANG stocks, F-A-A-N-G, Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, and Google. You may have stayed home and done Netflix instead of going to a movie theater. Well, the concept is that as the American economy reopens, then reopening plays, stocks, will start to grow. What are reopening? Travel, leisure, hospitality, cruises, things you wouldn't have done during the lockdown. Well, that's why yesterday's news was big for purposes of forced stimulus and purposes of lockdown plays. Because ultimately, if we're still on lockdown, or we're not reopening as quickly, or the reopening is not as robust or as broad stroke, you're going to need more stimulus checks. You're going to need them because we're not rebounding as quickly as possible. Let's look again at this graph for forced stimulus. If we are not fully rebounded or fully reopened in July and we still see the current surge of COVID cases across 50% of this country, of course you need more stimulus. It's very obvious. And so what should you be looking at? You should be looking at FANG stocks and how they are trading up or trading down. And that impact was seen yesterday with the news about the Johnson & Johnson situation. The Johnson & Johnson situation immediately took its hit on the travel and leisure. Travel and leisure, the reopening stocks fell initially yesterday on the news. Carnival, Norwegian down, Marriott and Hilton down, because people thought we're not reopening as fast because of Johnson & Johnson. Well, what's happening in the next few minutes, or almost at the time of this broadcast, is the CDC's Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices on FDA is meeting. They're meeting in the next few minutes to determine what to do with Johnson & Johnson. Because with that clarity, they want to understand how quickly they can rectify the situation. A new video was released by the White House today from Dr. Fauci, who explains in a really well done video, probably the easiest video to follow, how Johnson & Johnson impacts this economy, how it impacts the reopening, and how it impacts the immunization situation. Let's listen to this new video that impacts everything from forced stimulus to everything else in the markets. Let's listen in.
Today, the CDC and FDA announced that they are calling a pause on the administration of the J&J vaccine for COVID-19 due to a small number of adverse events. It was seen in 6 out of the 6.85 million people who've been vaccinated, and out of an abundance of caution, they've called a pause on the administration. There are a couple of reasons to do that. The first is to investigate this a bit further, and the second is to alert the clinicians out there when someone comes in with these types of symptoms to ask them if they have a history of a recent vaccination. The people who've already gotten the vaccine should not be worried because, as I mentioned, this is a very rare event, 1 in more than 1 million individuals. The J&J vaccine has been shown in clinical trials to be highly efficacious. What we're talking about now has nothing to do with the efficacy of the vaccine. The federal government is working with the distributors of this vaccine to see if we can expedite getting appointments to get an alternative vaccine, namely either the Pfizer or the Moderna vaccine. Over 120 million people have received at least 1 dose of the vaccines. Out of that 120 million, only a small proportion, 6.85 million, are J&J. All the rest are either Moderna and Pfizer. There have been no signals that there's any concern about adverse events among those tens of millions of people. Absolutely, you should get vaccinated. The danger of COVID-19 as a disease clearly, overwhelmingly outstrips any risk of an adverse event from a vaccine.
And there you go. A very, very helpful video from Dr. Fauci that explains the situation, which is very important to understand, especially in light of the situation for forced stimulus and this economy. Let's recap the impact of a Dr. Fauci video on what we were just discussing. If America is reopening, we need as much vaccine doses and distribution. Well, every time a vaccine dose goes offline, it slows the reopening play. The reopening play impacts travel and leisure stocks like Carnival to Marriott. But what Dr. Fauci explains in that very, very thoughtful and easy to follow video is that Johnson & Johnson was not a major player in the number of doses administered daily. It was very small, and that any reaction, knee-jerk reaction to thinking that maybe reopening play stocks are going to not rebound as quickly as possible is short-sighted. So ultimately, the impact of Johnson & Johnson on the reopening is not really there. It's not a major player. Meantime, we had incredible great news to start the day as well. I almost forgot to cover it, which came from Moderna's CEO. He had a new news statement today that said by the fall and winter of 2021, the booster will be available. What's the booster? The booster is the quick shot that you take to be resilient to the variants. Stefan Barncel, CEO, told News this morning, I want to make sure that boost vaccines are available in the fall so people will protect and go into the next fall and winter. His booster has been tested on humans for the last few months. I anticipate the next year or so, we're not going to see a lot of variants, but as more and more people, we are going to see a lot of variants, but as more and more people get vaccinated, the pace of the variant is going to slow down and stabilize. Great news. He basically says we're not going to need boosters going on indefinitely, that this was just for now, and that as the virus settles down, that'll be a 1-year shot situation. What a big day. Let me give you all the recap. And boy, I still got some more to tell you about business stuff as well. The big recap is third stimulus checks are landing in direct deposits today for my veterans. Congratulations. This is the latest wave. I had told you it was going to happen a few weeks ago. It's the April 14th wave, direct deposit, Comerica, Direct Express card, big banks like Chase, Bank America. And if you're waiting for a mail check, they're late. They're about 2 weeks late, so don't fret. If you don't get it, then you're going to have to request it on a tax return. Next, 4 stimulus checks are heating up, those multiple stimulus checks, not coming from the president, not coming from the Republicans, coming from the Democratic senators and Democratic House members. Remember, they write the bill, they modify the bill, they vote on the bill, and they amend the bill. They want to and say and vow that they're going to put those monthly stimulus checks in there. Next, excitement's brewing on Wall Street right now as Coinbase's IPO is about to go live as the first major cryptocurrency. I'll have details coming up in a second on that. And let's cut to the business excitement. The EIDL grant, the remainder $10,000 EIDL grant from 2020, is just landed. Wow, very exciting news. So if you applied anytime in March to May when it was live, or then in July when it was live again, the remainder of the $10,000 EIDL grant invite is coming by email. It's only coming by email invite. It's not coming in chronological order, I can exclusively report. It's going out to low-income based community businesses first, and then everyone else after that. Next, the shuttered venue grant is now live at sba.gov. The PPP grant is now extended by executive order. Reach out to the online lenders like Fundera, Cabbage for that. Additionally, the restaurant grants are about to go live. The business grant to start a new business never happened. It did not get into the third stimulus package. The EIDL loan is always been live. It is still live if you have an existing business, and you can now get an increase on it. And boy, the student loan debt forgiveness is about 2 days away from what I'm anticipating will be the announcement by executive order. I've been detailing a lot over the last few days. I'll have more about that executive order coming up later on today's schedule. But boy, join me right after this as I cut into a new line of programming here on this channel. As Coin LALATE heats up, our new show on this channel, they'll touch over and cover the cryptocurrency and the crypto economics at issue. I'll be covering Bitcoin, Ethereum, also the events of today's IPO of Coinbase, and also join me for the continued coverage of Wall Street as well. If you have not subscribed, make sure you subscribe, because this is the most comprehensive financial channel online, covering everything across the board of the financial markets. Hit that subscribe at the front of this channel. Also, like this video. Try to do 2,000-3,000 likes. I see Sandy in the room, and Debbie, and there's Jazzy, and there's Linda, and Prairie, and Debbie, and Gunnar, and Prancy, and Sharon. How are you? Thank you for joining me on a big morning. Also, like this video. It really helps in the algorithm ranking. Stay informed, stay focused, keep on smiling, and I'll see you as Mornings LA continues in just a minute on LALATE. Stay informed, stay focused, and stay here for more.